Hello everyone, and for the past 2 weeks we've been talking about missing units in the Game 1 races and Game 2 races. We're at the end of that series now with Game 3, and yes, even though there has been some DLCs for the Monogods, there are still some possible missing units. Even though some of the Monogods have already had DLC, I do feel like there might be another one in the future, especially for that of NURGLE, and, well, we're still waiting for the rest of the Senesh roster to be revealed, which, anytime now, CA. But with that being said, let's begin. But before anything, a big thank you to our video sponsor, Instant Gaming. Instant Gaming is a platform where you'll be able to buy loads of games, those that have just released and those that are due to be released at a discounted rate. Gaming is unfortunately getting more expensive soon, so it's always best to get the best deal anywhere. Instant Gaming is a platform that always delivers really meaty discounts whenever possible. Not only that, but we do have a giveaway going on, our usual monthly one. Win the game of your choice. All you have to do is click the link in the description below, sign up, and yeah, just sign up to it. You don't even have to make a purchase. It's really good to be able to have this working relationship with Instant Gaming, as it's a company that I use myself. Making a purchase through my special links, by the way, also supports the channel at no extra cost to you. A big thank you once again to Instant Gaming for the sponsorship, and let's return to our regularly scheduled programming. Alright, we're going to start off with NURGLE because I think everyone expects NURGLE not to get DLC, but I do think that NURGLE will feature in a future DLC, likely this hypothetical end times DLC that everyone's been talking about. There is a fair amount of NURGLE stuff left, but the one thing that everyone wants is the Fat Boys, the Putrid Blight Kings. These guys are the strongest of the strong when it comes to NURGLE warriors, very similar to that of power scale to the Wrathmongers, for example. They are so cool. A mixed unit, but I do imagine that they could be split up into multiple types, as we do see them with great weapons, we see them with sword and board, additional hand weapons, all the like. They are absolutely awesome. I am absolutely gutted that we can't use them in the old world. Maybe in the future, you never know. But they're definitely the epitome of NURGLE warriors. It's only a matter of time, I think, especially now since we know that end times material is possible. I just hope that when they get introduced, I think it's more of a when than if, that they're going to be introduced a little bit better when it comes to recruitment, because the Warriors of Chaos can also use them, but it's through that random RNG system rather than upgrades. I feel like Khorne kind of suffered for that with Valkyria, and Festus would likely suffer from that too. Okay, we're going to move on to TZEENTCH now, and I want to talk about the Fireworm of TZEENTCH. This is one of the unique style of Chaos Spawn that exists in the Warhammer fantasy world. Now, TZEENTCH had a DLC which got a little bit better after some time and drama, but I do think that they could get something else just to kind of flesh them up a little bit. Maybe it might not happen considering that they do have the Mutilated Vortex Beast attached to it, but the Vortex Beast is supposed to be a mono-god unit, not so much a TZEENTCH only unit. Yes, I know it sounds confusing, especially with the whole Slaughter Brute thing, but there was a bit of a difference. The Fireworm is a rather large avian-style looking Chaos Spawn. Some of them can breathe fire, some of them can cast spells. It's something that's been showcased before in other games, but has never really had a model. But neither did the Blood Beast, which got a massive redesign, so I could see this happening in the future for TZEENTCH to have another spawn-like entity, maybe a little bit faster, being able to have some range attacks, seeing as the TZEENTCH monsters, the demons too, this is immortal by the way, generally have some shooting attacks. I could see this happening. I feel like TZEENTCH does need a little bit extra. We obviously need another Legendary Lord, Egrim at one point, who knows when. Maybe not a full DLC, but a unit here and there would be lovely, and I feel it will just round off the roster a little bit better. The TZEENTCH roster is still a little bit lackluster because, you know, the Centigors are there and they weren't really a unit that anyone wanted, really. So, who knows, maybe Creative Assembly want to, maybe it's more of a GW thing, but if the Blood Beast came in, I don't see why not for this. Okay, we're going to talk about Senesh, and this is where things get a little bit awkward, because obviously we're waiting for the reveal of the Senesh DLC, and they've shown off some of the new units. But one thing that I'm kind of concerned about is the fact that we have seen the Pleasure Seekers, but we haven't seen any Pleasure Riders of Senesh. Well, they never really had an official model, people just called them Boob Snake Riders, but mortals on the Boob Snakes. It's something that I really want to see, because I feel like that would help a lot for the Warriors of Chaos, and everyone else has their God Touch mounts. Yes, Senesh does have the Hellstriders, and they're very, very cool. We've got two variants there, but I want a heavy cavalry unit. I want to see mortals riding upon them as intended. Now what you're seeing on screen is a character. This is Styrka. This is who I expect to be the legendary hero, but yeah, same vein, right? Just like a lance, glaive thing, put them on the boob snakes, give them a shield, heavy cav, would be kind of cool. And it could work in the same way as we had for the Rot Knights for NURGLE. Just upgrade the Knights into the Pleasure Knights, and there you go. This is a thing that I've been very vocal about. It's something that I really want to see. It will make or break the DLC a little bit for me, I think, because it's something that has always been talked about in lore and then just never really represented about very well. The fact that we have another mortal with the Champions of Senesh, well, that kind of worries me. They look very cool. I mean, we haven't seen a lot of information regarding them. We have seen like 50 clips on the boob snakes, though, which I like, but yeah, we need to see a little bit more. Please start waking up a little bit, CA, I beg of you. And finally, for the monogods, we do have... well, not a lot for Khorne, I'm going to be very honest there. There is basically one unit that I can think of. It's from the Storm of Chaos, and I think it could end up being kind of viable. The Chariot of Khorne is not the most impressive type of unit, but a lot of people did think that we were going to get an Omens of Destruction, myself included, because it's a bunch of Bloodthirsters on a chariot pulled by a Juggernaut of Khorne, which... to be honest, I mean, the old model is kind of cool. I like the old Juggernauts a bit more than the newer ones, I think. But the Bloodthirsters are much better than the newer edition. So I don't think a unit like this would pop up in a DLC because it's a bit easier to make. But one of those, you know, here's a random free units that they've been doing every now and then. That's always really nice. I think that could just finish up Khorne. Khorne is very lucky because they had the Skull Crushers from the very beginning. And pretty much just a bunch of new stuff. A bunch of new units were created for Khorne, which shows why Khorne, even though is a very basic faction in terms of gameplay, is pretty much complete. We're going to jump into the Ogres now, and the Ogres aren't really missing a lot. The Ogres are functionally done. Pretty much what they're missing is just, what, more variants for the Noblars? Yeah, the Man-Biters, the Lucky Gits, and another one, I think. It's been a while. I guess some people would say Noblar Hero and stuff like that. But what I'm going to say here is something very different. Not so much a unit, but a mount option. I feel it's about time that the Ogre Lord and Heroes were able to mount up properly. They couldn't do in the tabletop. They can do in the old world, albeit with just Stonehorns and Thunder Tusks. But I feel like it would be nice if we could have characters mounting up on Mournfangs, Rhinoxes, which was something that they originally wanted to do in Warhammer Fantasy but never got done, the Stonehorns also, and also the Thunder Tusks. It would be cool to see that functionality come in for the Ogres, because then you could focus on cavalry armies. Yes, they're not that great, but the idea is having a little bit of fun there, having different styles. It's always important to get some options, and the Ogres, unfortunately, are very limited on their options. The Hunter can mount up, but nobody else. It's kind of boring. Alright, Kizlev. So, this one's going to be an interesting one because Kizlev and Cafe have been obviously redesigned for the old world, but I do feel like they can go back into older lore just to pick some stuff up. So for Kizlev, we're going to talk about the Frost Fiend, which never had any model or any artwork, but has been mentioned in a few numerous sources. In fact, I believe the general consensus is a giant frost owl, but some people say it's a giant frost bat. I feel like something like that could be cool, a big flying monster for Kizlev, which kind of focuses on the frost aspect of Kizlev, but also the primal aspect with the whole Mother Ostankia situation. It would be cool to see this. I feel like we need to see a little bit more of Kizlev. It just feels a little bit empty still. The rework was fantastic, so I'm not going to knock that out. Kizlev is now fun to play. But I do feel like there is about one, maybe two more DLCs that CA could realistically do, depending on how far Games Workshop have worked on Kizlev for the old world, because we know that this was done in conjunction together. They're supposed to be very fast, they're supposed to even have heat-seeking vision to be able to, like, snipe out enemies. I feel like a big flying monster would be cool. The Frost Dragon is alright, even though it's more of a worm than anything else. Plus, it will give them a little bit more speed. The battle kit is decent, but they kind of... yeah, they're a bit squishy. Here we are with Cafe, a faction that we're going to be seeing on the tabletop very soon too. I feel like there's a lot that hasn't been disclosed for Cafe. We do know that a lot of units exist. For example, Monkey Warriors, Tiger Men and stuff like that. It's only a matter of time. I'm very curious more than anything to see the Tiger Men, because the Tiger Men have been rumored for quite some time now. There's been talks about leaks and so on. And the main thing is, I'd just love to see how they get implemented. Is it going to be in a very similar way as to a Total War Saga Troy, where we had those lion people? Or are they going to be a bit more agile? Are they going to be a skirmish fighter? Are they going to be more regimental? Because Cathay seems to be focusing very heavily on regimental combat. I'm really hyped up to see what happens to Grand Cathay over the coming years, and obviously with the release looming for the old world. We know stuff like Cathayan Ogres are a thing, the bird, the Vermilion bird we haven't seen yet, but it's pushing up the the balloons. I might see that as a bit of an entity. It's all a matter of time, and I can't wait to see what happens. I have stupid high hopes for Grand Cathay to be absolutely massive. And lastly, for the Demon Prince Daniel, well, there's not really much that can be done. There are no real undivided demons, barring just the undivided Furies, and that's it. It's a bit of a shame. You never know in the future if anything might change, but until then, I feel like he compensates by getting everything from the Mono Gods, or at least the demonic entities, which works out very well. He does have a very big roster. Yeah, it's just a weird thing. Maybe what they could do here to compensate is an undivided hero. That would be very, very nice, but I very much doubt it. Let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments below, or what units you guys would have picked up. And also, if you want to pop by, I'm going to be live. It's my birthday today, so I'm going to be doing a fun stream on twitch.tv/thegreatbookofgrudges. I want to just have a little bit of fun. Plus, it's Monday, it's my regular streaming day, and that means that I need to keep consistent. So, yeah, have a great day, everyone, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.